Ladies and gentlemen, Mollusk here, bringing you battle number 1 of the Age of Sigmar. And I probably don't need to tell you, I was pretty damn excited for this. I found out yesterday that my new local Games Workshop, which has rebranded itself Warhammer or some shit, were holding a tester day for the pre-release. So I planned on getting an early night, and just before I turned out the light, I went onto the Games Workshop webpage, and what did I find? But all the rules, and not just the core rules, the individual old Warhammer faction rules. For free! So needless to say, I spent a couple of hours reading through the core rules and the Beastmen book before going to sleep, and I couldn't wait to wake up. Seriously, and I'm not lying to you, I felt like I used to as a little boy on Christmas Day, and I couldn't wait to get down to the shop and try it out. And I'll just say here, I know I promised a 40k Apocalypse report, but when I got to the shop and set up with all my Talos, there were no other 40k players to come and kick things off, so I didn't get a game in the end. But you guys probably don't care about that, you care about Age of Sigmar, right? So let's get on with it. This was actually the third game I played. The first one was against a force of Liberators, I think they're called, and whoever that prat is on the Dragon Horse. I took a herd of Minotaurs and Doombull. The Doombull ended up getting liberated, but was avenged by his Minotaurs, who then also proceeded to beat on Captain Lizard Horse, before just strolling away and getting charged in the back and killed. How unchivalrous. I didn't record the game because, to be honest, it started before I even realised what was happening. I then played against a young man and his rat pack. I just took my Gorgon, and he got warp-fired and magic to death. I didn't record that game because, in the nicest possible way, it looked like my opponent was having fun and I didn't want to stop him. So we go into this, game 3. Obviously my opponent and I are just getting used to the rules, and he is in fact borrowing some of the store's high elf models. We chose a nice simple deployment and set up like so. None of those scenery pieces are anything special. So on my side I've got a herd of Minotaurs with a champion, Gorgon, Harpies, Bray-shaman. He has Illyrian Reavers, Guy on a Griffin, Prince on a Griffin, a spell wizard person, and what's that, like 10 Sea Guard? I get the first turn and we go for a sprint. I don't really have much of a plan beyond shoving my Minotaurs and the Gorgon up in his face, and the Harpies maxed out their run move. So I plonk them between our respective lines, because I'm curious to see if there's still a role for chaff in this game. My general, who's the wizard, gets a bit left behind, and basically I've got no idea what the range is on those Lothan Sea Guard bows, so I want him well back. Oops, and I should have mentioned that in the magic and hero-y phase, my bray-shaman doesn't have any hero traits, so he cast a shield spell on the Gorgon, giving him +1 armour. So with all that done, we go into High Elves turn 1. I think his hero ability is to allow him to re-roll failed charge dice in a bubble around this general. His wizard casts the arcane bolt at the Gorgon and puts wound on him, and the Sea Guard fire at the Harpies, killing 2 of them. No wait, the Sea Guard fire at the Gorgon and don't do anything, the Illyrian Reavers fire at the Harpies and kill 2 of them. The Reavers then charge the Harpies, and the Prince on Griffin charges into the Gorgon for an epic combat. In combat, the Horse Elves fail to kill any Harpies, and take 2 casualties in return. Not bad, Harpies. And I've got to say actually here, that my opponent rolled dreadfully this game. So do factor that into what you're watching. In the Griffin-Gorgon combat, both sides lay into each other in an epic slugging match. And in the aptly named Battle Shock phase, the Illyrian Reavers lose 2 of their number to cowardice, and the Harpies' ability allows them to prey on the weak remaining Reaver captain and kill him as well. Very good, Harpies. So that turns over, and we start a new one, and this time my opponent gets to go first. He does the reroll charge hero power, and tries to arcane the Gorgon but fails. And it's interesting to note that I can't stop his spells because my wizard is not in range of his wizard, which is an interesting mechanic. And suddenly things like the Cygor, who can also unweave spells, starts to look like an interesting option for the Beastmen, because you'd expect that he could get into range of the other wizard more easily than a bray-shaman. So I think that could be quite an interesting dynamic. So what happens then? I think he moves up with the Reavers, and I can't remember if he shoots or not. I think he does shoot into combat, maybe put some wounds on the Gorgon, and then he charges with the Reavers, and I basically fail all my attacks, and the combined efforts of the Elves put the Gorgon down to 4 wounds. No one's lost any models, so there's no battle shock to do. So into Beastmen turn 2 we go. The Wizard tries to Arcane Bolt the Griffin, and fails. The Minotaurs charge the Griffin, and the Harpies charge the Spellcaster. In combat, I activate my Minotaurs first, and we just can't quite kill the Griffin. I must have rolled a bit bad here, because Minotaurs are, they're pretty tasty. He goes next with the Griffin, and kills the Gorgon sad times. So the Sea Guard pile in, and do a couple of wounds to a Minotaur. And since no unit has lost any, no remaining unit in this combat has lost any models, there's no battle shock. In the other combat, I think the Harpies wound the spellcaster, and he doesn't do anything to them, so everyone's sticking around. And so it's on to turn 3, and the Beastmen go first this time. The Wizard moves up into the woods and tries to snipe the Griffin, and fails. Seems I've missed a few pictures here. Okay, what's going on is that the Harpies wounded the spellcaster again and took no damage. The Minotaurs failed to kill the Griffin, and I think we lost a Minotaur to it. I think we also killed a few Sea Guard, and maybe they did some wounds to us. Whatever, I think everyone stuck around. We then went into High Elves turn 3, and everything's in combat, so the Griffin killed another Minotaur and badly wounded that one that you see there with the dice. The 2 remaining Minotaurs took down the Griffin, and the champion got like 2 extra attacks thanks to their special wounding ability, and ended up killing like 5 or 6 elves on his own. It was brutal. And the Harpies continued to scratch away at the now beleaguered elf spellcaster. In turn 4, the Beastmen go first again, and I take the opportunity to see what would happen if you march a Minotaur up a whirlwind. They stop there, and this is a really stupid mechanic. But then I remember that my wizard casts before the movement phase, and he snipes the elf wizard dead in front of the Harpies, and the game ends. This is not a hard game, and we kept on forgetting that the magic came before movement. But yeah, oh well. So my opponent was a really nice guy, and it was a pleasure to play him, and the game was fun in a gentle, not too mentally taxing way. It was short and sweet, and I've got to say, boringly simple. It was a bit like the enjoyment you have from just like sitting down and playing a board game between friends, and not the high-octane excitement that Warhammer Fantasy always gives me. Obviously, we're new to the game, and there's mechanics no doubt to be explored and exploited, limits to be found and stretched, and from looking at some of the formations you can do, it seems like this is still a reasonably small scale game. You know, I wanted to be doing the full 9 Minotaur and Gorgon, I forget what it's called, Warherd. And maybe games of that scale add more to the game, like in Warhammer Fantasy, 1,000 points isn't really anywhere near as good as 2,000 or 2,500. But you know what? Somehow I doubt it. The movement phase is so dead. I mean, it's not even like 40k where you can move stuff all around the board really fast or coming in from interesting directions. It just feels a bit barren. Maybe a summoning mechanic will spice things up a bit? I don't know. But yeah, you just don't really have to think very hard. And that's really disappointing. Really disappointing. Maybe it works for really casual games, you know, like just fun times with your mates. And maybe the depth will grow in future. But for now, for someone who's tasted the awesomeness of 8th edition, I don't know guys, I'm just not sure how long this would hold my attention. But yeah, anyway. First game. Hope I didn't put you off too much. Go and try it for yourself. And I'll see you on the next one.